We're at Borsa Istanbul for the second initial public offering that's just taken place here in less than 3 weeks. Today, it's EnerjiSA, an electricity distribution company that provides power to more than a quarter of the country's population. They've raised about $400 million, and the company's chief executive tells us it's a similar amount that they intend to spend on increasing and improving their infrastructure each year. Here's what else he had to say.
As being the #1 company in the electricity distribution and retail sector, serving to a population of more than 20 million was a big responsibility. This is a heavily regulated business, whereas Turkey needs these investments. Turkey is a growing country, young population, and lifestyles are changing. Urbanization is going very fast, and to support this growth, investments were needed, quality must be improved. So this was happening in a regulatory framework which has been so far very supportive as well as transparent, and we have worked for the last 4 years, especially after the takeover of the formerly state-owned companies, and we have successfully turned around these companies, and our performance became visible in 2016, and we speed up for the IPO preparations and also catch the growth that we have experienced over the last 3 years.
More than 300 international and domestic institutions took part in this initial public offering, including some world-renowned names like Fidelity, BlackRock, and Moon Capital. There were 5 times as many orders as the number of shares available for sale, and market analysts say that is not a trend limited to this company. They're seeing a lot of demand for Turkish equities. So we caught up with the president of Borsa Istanbul, Himmet Karadağ, and asked him about his expectations for the market in the coming year in terms of investments, new listings, and new products. Here's what he had to say.
The economy performed well in 2017. In the Fed, we were among the fastest growing economies of the world. This is attracting both domestic and foreign investors to the country, and we are preparing for more public listings this year. Rating agencies seem to have a problem with this, but investors have proven them wrong by continuing to invest in Turkey. This year, we will bring many highly anticipated IPOs to the market, and also new products such as real estate certificates that let people invest piecemeal in large projects.
Independent economist and a columnist for Daily Sabah, Taha Arvas, joins me now on set for more on this. Thanks so much for joining us, Taha. Now, this is very exciting. We're 6 weeks into 2018, and there's been 3 listings on the Turkish Stock Exchange. And last year, in all of last year, there were only 3. So This is amazing. What's happening?
There was a slowdown in IPOs in 2017, I think. The economy was doing very well. The stock market was up nearly 50% in dollar terms in 2017, but there was a lasting impact of the upheaval in 2016 of the attempted coup. So many companies were apprehensive about coming to the market in 2017, and they wanted to wait for some time to pass. Okay. And they've done that. Okay.
What about the impact of the lira being low?
The lira was practically flat in 2017. Obviously, it was worse in 2016, but I think that was general dollar strength. Generally in the world, there was dollar strength. Turkey was a little bit more affected, and that's because Turkey has a higher beta. And other than that, it seems to have stabilized now, which is what's so important. As long as the currency doesn't fluctuate too much, we don't have a problem.
Now, explain this to me. I don't understand how the global ratings agencies like Fitch and Moody's have pretty bad, low ratings for Turkey, and yet investors are coming and putting their money in the country. Who has got the grip on reality?
Well, I think what happened is the ratings agencies have been very cold towards all emerging markets recently, but especially in Turkey, and to some extent you can't blame them. And the reason is, in 2008 they were so wrong all over the board for almost all countries and all ratings. So they are a little bit risk averse in making their ratings. So they'd rather be wrong initially and then catch up than be wrong straight from the get-go.
Absolutely. When Lehman Brothers went down, they had a AAA.
Exactly, that's right. Iceland was supposed to be perfect, and we saw what happened.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so they're wrong here, but it'll take some time for them to catch up.
Okay, so let's talk about more IPOs that are planned. There are, I believe, around a dozen more. $4 million IPO bonanza for Turkey this year. That's what some media reports are saying. Is the revival happening for Turkey?
I think it's going to happen for Turkey, and it's going to happen for emerging markets across the board. As you know, this last week, the United States stock exchanges saw the largest point drop intraday in the history of the New York Stock Exchange. And today, at this point, at this hour, the stock market, the New York Stock Exchange is down 2% as it is. So things are very shaky. This is the first week that Jay Powell, the new Fed chairman, is seated, and it looks like things are very questionable. So people are investing in countries that have guaranteed growth, good demographics, and Turkey is one of those.
And how does Turkey compare to other emerging markets?
I think it's resilient. One of the things we can say about Turkey for sure is that it's resilient. I mean, we have armed conflicts on three sides of Turkey practically, and we're here. We're still here. The economy is doing well. The stock market was up in record levels last year. So I think that's something that investors look for. And this last EnerjiSA IPO is a great example of that.
Very, very interesting. Now, I just want to quote from the Energy Minister, Berat Albayrak. He says that strong investor demand for the company, for EnerjiSA, shows that Turkey was a safe harbor for investors despite recent global fluctuations. What do you make of that?
It's absolutely true. And we can see it in the numbers. 80% of the investors into EnerjiSA's IPO were very large funds, American like BlackRock and these very huge companies that we've heard of, were invested into the IPO. It was 5 times oversubscribed. So everyone wanted to get a piece of the IPO, and then that's what happened.
Okay, and your predictions for 2018, what are you excited about?
I'm excited about what's going to happen globally, but the whole interest rate scenario in the ECB in the United States will affect the world. So I predict that there'll be maybe 1 interest rate hike in the United States, if not 0. The market currently predicts 3, and that will lead to a burgeoning of emerging markets, including Turkey and across the world. And I think that's going to be really interesting to watch.
All right, very exciting. We'll hold you on that. And the Turkey economy revival. Thanks so much. That was Taha Arbas, columnist for Daily Sabah.